Strat-O-Matic Excel Carryover League. Brought to you by the Shrimp Troll.
(1973 to 1976). Welcome back, baseball fans, to Game 4 of the 1973-76 World Series. A World Series that has been dominated by the Chicago White Sox, ripping off 3 straight wins, stunning the baseball world and the Dodgers. Here's the box score of Game 3. Just Tommy John battered around early. Big errors in this game by Willie Davis, Davey Lopes. 7 runs allowed by Tommy John in 2 1/3 innings, putting 9 runners on plus the errors. Only 3 were earned. Decent relief work by Charlie Huff, Stan Wall, and Jim Brewer, should be noted at least. Kept them in the game. Dodgers rallied late. Too little, too late. Wilbur Wood ran out of gas in the 8th inning. Stan Bonson decided to make it interesting in the 9th by giving up a grand slam to Jim Wynn. Mike Garmelin threw 2/3 scoreless innings to keep his streak going. 8-6 win. Last time there was a World Series game in LA, they lost 8-6 6 years ago, and they lose 8-6 again. Which brings us to Game 4, and we go full circle. We are returning back to the Game 1 matchup. It's Jim Cott for the White Sox. I almost said Twins. Jim Cott for the White Sox, 21-game winner, 2.92 ERA in 277 innings. Gave up a couple of runs. 1 run in 8 innings in his first start, And Don Sutton, he pitched well, but not as good as Cott in the opener. 18-game winner, 2.43 ERA in 1973. And stay focused. Those signs have popped up. Yeah, remind us. They should put in there. Remind us how we have no shot by putting stay focused signs in the stadium. 1 game at a time. Leading off, White Sox, again, they have 1 lineup for righties, 1 versus lefties, and they've been rolling this for 2 months. They are on an absolute burner. They've ripped off 11 out of 12, or is it 12 out of 13 in the postseason. Unbelievable run that the White Sox are on, but can they keep it going? We'll have the F9. And leading off is George Orta. 2-4, flies to right. Bob Stinson, 3-7, single 1 of 17, he gets it. You didn't want to do that in the first inning, meaning you don't want to put a guy on in front of Dick Allen in the first inning of a playoff game, because bad things have been happening to the opponents of the Chicago White Sox. I guess we should show Dick Allen's card now to get it out of the way, right? Here is Dick Allen, 1973. 316 average, 16 home runs in a season cut short by injury. But the card definitely as good as the 72 MVP card. Who knows what would have happened in a full season of 1973 for that White Sox club, I suppose. Here's the pitch to Dick Allen. 3-11, flies to right. And with 2 outs, it's Melton. 5-11, Bill Melton grounds to second. Lopes, a 3-12, makes the play. Bottom of the first, it's Davey Lopes. 2-7. It's a base hit. Ace stealer. You got Stinson, a +1 arm. He's taking off. It doesn't really matter at this point anymore what you do. What's the right call? You're down 0-3. You do what you feel like doing. Lopes is going to steal. On a 12, he'll be safe. Bill Buckner. 2-8, pops to short. Garvey, 59. Rolls to second. Runner goes to third for Ron Say. 6-10. Short X, Bucky Dent. Can you crack through? And they do! So they get a single on Bucky Dent, finally, and it actually scores a run. Because Lopes had moved up on the ground ball. So that's an RBI single on Bucky Dent. The first time that's happened. Steve Yeager. 2-7, double 1-3. It's a base hit. They're on the corners with 2 outs for Jim Wynn. Another 2-7, but hits a strikeout for the toy cannon. Innings over. Just 1 run. They strand a couple. Top of 2, Ken Henderson. 5-11 is a strikeout. Lamar Johnson, 2-5. Another strikeout. Buddy Bradford, 38. Another strikeout. Bottom of 2. Willie Davis, 37, flies to center. Bill Russell, 410. Center X. It's Henderson, a 2-6. And that's a double. Okay. A little change in the luck here, suddenly. Willie Crawford, 37, is a K. And Davey Lopes, 56, is a strikeout. And Cock gets out of that one as well. We go to the third. Tony Muser in a 1-0 game. 58, pops to third. Bucky Dent, 1-9. Another hit. Double 1-17. That's a double. Bucky is red hot in the postseason with a 264 card. Notable that he did have 640 plate appearances, so it wasn't just like a defensive wizard. You know, he was the full-time deal here. Protected in the 9 hole in the lineup. Back up top, George Orta. 69 off Sutton, flies to center. And with 2 outs, Bob Stinson. 1-5 a walk. That's why they like Stinson, drawing walks to get on in front of Dick Allen. Here's the pitch to Dick Allen. 1-8, he comes through with double 1-12. It's an RBI single. And the game is tied. Runners are on the corners with 2 outs for Bill Melton. 2-5, grounds are short. But the White Sox have tied the game at 1. Bill Buckner. 2-7, pops to first. Steve Garvey. 2-6, triple 1-2, double. Garvey at second for Ron Say. 1-9 is a strikeout. And with 2 outs, Steve Yeager. 2-11, grounds to short. 1-1 into the 4th. Ken Henderson. 3-6 is a walk. Lamar Johnson, 49, a strikeout. Yeager is the -3 arm catcher, and the White Sox just aren't in a particular hurry to run on him with a big 3-0 series lead. Buddy Bradford. 1-6, Buddy Bradford, another contribution to this torrid postseason White Sox run. He's found a spot in the lineup. He likes the 7 hole. And we look at the card, he crushes righties with just a 238 average because the percentage is very high versus lefties where he's not very good at all. Also brings great defense full-time to the game. 1-6, 2-run blast. We have a 3-1 game. And your LA Dodgers, well, let's say the White Sox. The White Sox are 18 outs away from winning the World Series. Tony Muser, 48, is a K. And with 2 outs, it's Bucky Dent. 1-7, pops to third. Well, I guess that little early momentum was just not good enough as the White Sox have tied and taken the lead in the 4th. It's Jim Wynn. 1-6 is a walk. There have been a couple constants in this World Series. The White Sox starting pitching throughout has been untouchable, and Dick Allen has been on absolute volcano mode. And that's our synopsis of what has taken place through 3.5 games of the World Series. Runner at first for Willie Davis. 49, flies to center. Bill Russell, 2-6, and that's a 5-4-3 double play. And you see, you have a +1 arm catcher you could run on with Jim Wynn, who's a beast stealer, but you're down a couple runs. And now you're tentative again. Now you know what to do if you're the Dodgers. This is the plight you get in. It's like, be aggressive, be conservative. What do? We were aggressive early, we had the lead, then, oh no, the White Sox took the lead away from us again. What do we do? What do we do in LA? Well, they got timid and the inning's over. We go to the 5th. It's batting out of Orta, leading off. 310, that's a base hit for your 316 hitter. Bob Stinson, a very, very valuable member of this team who seems to get on base all the time. 3-7, single one to 17, he gets it. He's rolled the 3-5 homer throughout these broadcasts and never hit it. It's been a double each time, but still. He gets on base in front of this guy, Dick Allen, and what are you going to do? There's nothing to do here. You've got Mount Rushmore. 1/4 of Mount Rushmore is on the mound. Don Sutton, one of the, if not the best pitcher of the entire 16-year timeline of 1969 and 1984 that I play, as he was on all those seasons, along with Carlton and Seaver, and I think Jim Palmer barely made that list. In any event, I digress. Let's get to Dick Allen. You've got 2 on, nobody out, and here is the pitch. 1-9, Dick Allen again. It's a base hit to right field. Orta can run. He's a 16. Crawford's got a -1 arm. They ran off of Jim Wynn yesterday, but he's the DH today. They're going to run off of Crawford with nobody out. They're going to be aggressive when they don't have to. Here's the play. Here's the throw. And he scores on a 13. So it is the White Sox taking the risk. Orta running with nobody out. Didn't have to run. Orta runs. Probably ran through a stop sign there, but he's a great runner. He's a 16. -1 arm made it a 15, and he scores. Stinson, however, didn't get the memo, or did he? Let me see how slow he is. I'm going to say he didn't get the memo. And he's stranded at second. Okay. He's just stumbled at second base as a spirit of the game sort of thing there, as Orta ran through the stop sign, we'll call it. But it's 4-1 White Sox. There's still nobody out, and they are cruising in this game and the series. First and second, and it's Bill Melton. Bill, got to stay out of the double play. You've been doing a great job of that this year, which is why we moved you to the cleanup spot. He fixed his double play problem. Here's the pitch to Bill Melton. 4-4 off of Don Sutton. It is homer, 1-13, double the rest. It is gone! The world of the White Sox continues in the World Series. They're going to call this the White Sox Series or the Go-Go Sox Series. One of the most dominant performances we have seen in the World Series as the White Sox take a 7-1 lead off of Don Sutton. There's nobody out in the 5th inning. Ken Henderson, 69, flies to center. Lamar Johnson, 6'12", flies to left. Buddy Bradford, 57, is a K. Now, footnote. This is where you can go nuclear if you're the White Sox with Rich Gossage. Not just a 1-inning save. Not just a 2-inning save. You can bring him in for a 3-inning save, a 4-inning save. And that's exactly what the Mets did with Tug McGraw in Game 5 of the 69 series we played versus the Detroit Tigers. He came in the 6th inning through 4 scoreless innings for the Mets. Tug McGraw did. And the Mets won the World Series. So this is a Game 4, a little different situation. Gossage, bringing him in early would simply invite the ilk of Horace Clarke, Biff Pocoroba, and Frank Baker to enter the game. Okay. Yeah, I'm really liking this strategy suddenly. As we go to the bottom of the 5th, let's pause a moment for station identification.
This is the Shrimp Trawler video channel.
Este es el canal de videos de camaroneros.
And folks, in the World Series preview, I thought we had a long series in front of us. The White Sox have had other ideas as they keep demolishing their opponents and taking their will away from them. A 7-1 game here in the 5th inning. And Jim Cott will continue. It's Willie Crawford. 34. He flies to center. Dodgers were leading in this thing at one point. Davey Lopes, 47, pops to first. Bill Buckner, 67. There's a single chance, 1-11. But of course, White Sox roll. White Sox dice. White Sox bought the dice. White Sox own the program. Maybe White Sox bought Excel from Microsoft. And they reprogrammed the thing somehow. I don't know. But in any event, they're hitting everything. Or missing everything, depending on how you want to interpret it. Buckner cannot convert the single. The inning ends. We go to the 6th. It is 7-1. And now I'm at the point I'm looking for entertainment value for you folks. As my long day of playing World Series baseball might be coming to an end rather quickly. Top of the 6th for Sutton. It's Tony Muser. 39 flies to center. If you're wondering about defense, yes, the White Sox could make 3 moves in this one. Bucky Dent, 2-6, grounds the 3rd. And batting out Orta for his 4th trip to the plate. 4-11. Left X, your left fielder. Buckner's a 1-8. He makes the catch. And I guess incrementally, they're going to use 1 move. They're going to just put Beckert in the game at second. And they'll wait on the other guys. Frankly, a bad throwing catcher might be a good thing for the White Sox, encouraging the Dodgers to steal when you know they're not going to steal down 6. So Brian Downing is not really needed in this scenario. Bottom of the 6th for Cott. If he struggles at all, we will see Gossage. He qualifies for a win, and 2 World Series wins that would be. You got righty, 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 lefty, righty, lefty, righty, lefty. The guys that would hurt Gossage in the long term are Willie Davis, Willie Crawford, and Bill Buckner, and that's pretty much about it, unless you want to count those bench players. And do you really even pinch hit? Free agents, Clark, Pogorova, and Baker, for established LA Dodger players. That is the conundrum in an elimination game when the opponent has a relief 4 of Gossage. Now, what I don't like about relief 4 of Gossage is, by the time he gets to the 9th inning, he could hit his point of weakness. If there is, a rally in the thing. I'd prefer to bring him in the 7th, if possible. So here is Steve Garvey leading off. 48, it's a pop to short. Ron Say, 2-7's a single. Steve Yeager, he had a hit early in this game. 57 is a K. And with 2 outs, this is a big at-bat right here, folks. This out, and this is pretty much the clincher. At this point, Jim Wynn. 2-9. Jim Wynn has other ideas. Let's look at the card. He did the same thing in the 9th inning with a grand slam. One of the 32 homers he hit in 1974 with 108 walks and a 271 average. 2-9 is homer 1-11, double the rest, but he catches it on a 1. He crushed that one. It's a 7-3 game, and the Dodgers are within a grand slam. Can't give up anything more in this inning, Cott. And you got the lefty, Willie Davis. 1-9, triple 1-11 is a base hit. And now you got Bill Russell. Now, Russell has no power against lefties, so he can't hit a home run in this situation. So Davis is not going to score unless you get a triple. Here's the pitch to Bill Russell. 44 off Cott is third X. This is Melton. He had 2 errors yesterday. He's a .326 third baseman, and it's a base hit. And now you got Crawford. This is the guy. This is Cott's final guy. Crawford, let's take a look at him. He is the weakest left-handed bat on the team versus left-handed pitching. You could pinch hit for him with Horace Clark if you wanted to. And frankly, Cott's better against righties and lefties. Ultimately, we know Gossage is going to be in this game at some point, probably to face Lopes. Crawford has a homer chance on his own card. He might hit and score the runners. Pokoroba doesn't hit well. Clark is a singles hitter. Hits righties better than lefties. We're just going to leave Willie Crawford in here. Willie Crawford is a traditional Dodger. We're going to leave him in here in this big moment. 1st and 2nd. Here's the pitch to Willie Crawford. 2-11. Is a ground ball to second base. That is a tremendous out in this affair. 2-11, ground ball to second base. And 2-11 is a bad dice roll, folks, for all the Dodger bench players as well. So it didn't matter. They get to keep Crawford in there as defense anyway. It is 7-3. probably saw the end of Jim Cott. Survived the 6th inning. Took a couple to the chin there. But the team is still on course. They're still on target. As we go to the 7th inning, Sutton will continue. It's Bob Stinson. 48 is a strikeout. Give the Dodgers a little credit. They were down 7-zip in the previous World Series, 8-zip in this one, 7-1 today, and have come back in all the games. Dick Allen, 55, second X. Davey Lopes, the 3E12, makes the play. In all those cases, the Dodger bullpen bailed them out and kept the opponent from padding the lead. Today, it's simply Sutton out there all by himself. Bill Melton, 47, single 1-2, and he misses it. And the 7th inning is over. Now you got to wonder, well, with Sutton and Marshall, you know, it's two of the same guys. Like, why do you need to bring Marshall in if Don Sutton's starting? You know, Sutton might be better, is practically better than Mike Marshall. So there's that argument. It's a 4-run lead. Stretch time here in LA. We're now in the Royal Scam era. We skipped some years to 76. My favorite of the big 7 they started with, the Gas in the Car song there, yep. The other famous Larry Carlton solo in song 3 there, yep. Don't do it without your fez on, folks. I'm telling you. Get that fez where it needs to be. And, yeah, the brilliant Royal Scam of the Dan, 1976. Back to the game, bottom of the 7th, and yeah. Much easier to come into a game when you start the inning and there's nobody on base. Codd exits after 6. This is a 3-inning save attempt. On the difficulty scale, we'll call it a 7.5, 8, not a 10. Doesn't have to do as much heavy lifting as McGraw did. And you've got a huge 3-0 series lead. So let's say the Dodgers go absolutely nuts on Gossage and score like 6-7 runs in the 7th inning by some miracle. Theoretically, you could pull Gossage and keep him fresh for game 5 or 6, if that were the case. So it all plays out well here in the 7th for Rich Gossage. Let's take a look at his card. 75, 9-8 with a .184 ERA in 142 innings. And I don't know, I don't get it. I don't know the money involved or the decisions involved as to why this guy was traded twice and why Bucky Dent was also moved along to, I think, the Texas Rangers and the New York Yankees when he's a capable shortstop. But, yeah, in this version of what the White Sox could do, they're about to blow out the National League team in a World Series. Matter of fact, the American League won the World Series a year ago with Oakland, taking care of the Reds in 5 games. The Tigers lost a couple World Series, one to the Mets, one to the Pirates. Baltimore did beat Cincinnati convincingly in a World Series about 5 years ago. And that's where we're at here, folks, in the bottom of the 7th inning. And if we're looking at opportunities to bring in Clark, Pocoroba, and Baker, here would be your points. Lopes only hits .275. Only. You're not doing it for Garvey. You practically shouldn't be doing it for Say. Yeager, it's .266, but he's got a homer on 5 and a 12 shot on 6. Jim Wynn is Jim Wynn. And Bill Russell, he hits better than any of his bench players as well. So by going to a pinch hitter, you're just admitting you're going to be rolling on the Gossage card. This is what we're going to do, though. And here's our strategy. We are going to pinch hit Horace Clark. And the reason being is, as a switch hitter, he's a chance to be a speedy runner. And Horace Clark and Davey Lopes are pretty close in performance. Clark hits .263. He actually was a full-time second baseman in '73 for the Yankees. So Clark and Lopes were pretty comparable players, oddly enough. Only 12 points separated them in batting average. So Horace Clark will pinch hit for Davey Lopes against Gossage, just to get a guy on base, down 4. And maybe you draw a walk off the Gossage card. Here's the pitch to Horace Clark. 69. Oh, you roll a Gossage card, you get a ground ball to second base. That's nice. Now you got Bill Buckner. He must get on. 170, he does get on. Double 108 is a base hit. Now he's at first. Garvey's thinking, do I do a hit and run here down 4? Oh, that's a kind of a weak way out. Buckner is not going to steal. I didn't mention it, but and they could certainly do it at this particular moment, though it would be peculiar. But the Chi Sox would have gone full nuclear on their defense with Coluccio coming in to play left, and Brian Downing may as well. He always comes in for defense. He will come in as well. So they're going to play this potential clincher with full defense. So Buckner again, first base, being held on base. Garvey, he's going to have to swing away and stay out of the double play and see what happens. Here's the pitch, Steve Garvey. 66, oh, it's off the Gossage card again. It's a strikeout. And with 2 outs, it's Ronce. 1-6 off the Ronce card. Let's take a look. The righty. This is what you needed this. This is exactly what you needed in 1975. 25 homers and a 283 average for Ronce. Hits more homers versus righties and lefties on this card. It's homer 1 to 11, double the rest. And when we look up, he catches one. It's a home run. And that was the play there. A 2-run homer for Ronce. And we got a 7-5 game. Halfway there for the Dodgers. Wow. Again, the theme has been rally but fall short. And we're doing the repeat. Insanity 3 times in a row in World Series games in Los Angeles. With a potential 4th game. Well, I guess if the Dodgers win this, there would be a 4th game in Los Angeles in the last, including that Detroit game I showed you. But all right, there's 2 outs in a 7-5 game, and Steve Yeager is the batter. You could pinch hit for him with Pocoroba. We'll do that because maybe he can just catch a walk, and then Jim Wynn can swing for a chance at a tie. So we'll have Biff Pocoroba. Let's take a look at him. He is a fair enough replacement offensively for Yeager as a left-handed bat switch hitter who hits 255. Yeager hits 266. But again, it's the theory you're going to catch a walk or a hit off the Gossage card in this scenario. Here's the pitch to Biff Pocoroba. 3-6, and guess what, folks? If you don't do anything, Steve Yeager just hit a home run. And that's the problem when you revisit your strategy. A 3-6 was rolled had I not pinched hit. That's a home run for Yeager. I said, let's go to lefty Pocoroba, and I get a roller first. The inning's over. It's 7-5. Stunning. Stunning, peculiar, high volatility. A Ronce homer on his card. Yeager's pinch hit for. You don't get the homer on his card. It's a 7-5 game, though, and there's still 2 innings left. And you got Don Sutton pitching for the home team into the 8th inning. It's Ken Henderson. 5-10 is a walk. Now, do you stay aggressive if you're the White Sox? You've got Coluccio in this spot. This is a great spot for either a bunt or a hit and run. I think I might prefer the bunt here. Though, Pocoroba is a +2 catcher. The hit and run might make more sense. Or you could simply try a stolen base for Henderson and then bunt him the third. Let's try a Henderson stolen base. He steals second base. So that's the other drawback of Pocoroba. This could be a 2-run swing. You took a -3 arm catcher who simply, unfortunately, bats right-handed, was the scenario, and you put in a +2 arm catching Pocoroba. The opponent's leadoff hitter has some speed, draws a walk, and steals second base off of Sutton, who's pretty ticked right now. As now, Bob Coluccio, an A bunter, is going to try and bunt this guy to third. He rolls a 3 for an A bunter that is not the single. For B and C it is. The 8 bunter, the single is on a 4. So it's just it's a good sack bunt, but not a single. Runner third, 1 out. Now the Dodgers have to bring the infield up for Buddy Bradford, who had the 2-run homer earlier in this game. Here's the pitch to Bradford. 54 is center X. Now the Dodgers, you got to catch. We had the same scenario yesterday. Dodgers, you have to catch the fly ball 8 on your 1 center fielder. Not a 2-base error, okay? Try and catch, and he catches it and doesn't even need to plug in if you're wondering. So, Davis is a 1 center fielder. You caught the 8 on a 3 center fielder, and Davis is better than that. So you don't have to advance the dice roll anymore. That's too shallow. It's caught by Willie. It's not a sac fly. And with 2 outs, it's Tony Muser. 53, right X. Now you got to catch this if you're Crawford. Again, you didn't pull him, or you started him today instead of putting him on the bench because he's got good defense in right field. And he makes the catch. So there you are. They don't get that insurance run. It's really interesting how there's so many strategic moves involved in this game suddenly once the game gets within a couple runs. The Ron Say homer changes so much strategy here. 7-5. Bottom of the 8th. Again, Gossage is a relief 4. He has 2 lefties coming up this inning. This is the most dangerous inning. And in the practical sense of things, you don't go Forster here for Davis. You might go Forster for Crawford if Gossage starts to fall apart. But in the practical sense, it's not going to happen. Jim Wynn will lead off here. He homered in the 6th and homered in the 9th inning yesterday. 56 is a K. We've had at least 2 strikeouts off the Gossage card. And here's Willie Davis. 55, he caught the walk. He's being held on. I know it's a 2-run game, but he's being held on, and you got Bill Russell. You could do something like a hit and run here. Brian Downey's a -1 arm catcher. It avoids a dice roll against the Gossage card. You might be playing for 1 run of the 8th and 1 run of the 9th to tie the thing and send it to extra. Bill Russell is going to do a hit and run here with Davis at first. Hit and run, you roll a 7. You got to steal the base. He swings through it. The steal is a 6. He's safe. So, Willie Davis gets the second anyway, and Russell will swing away. In theory, you could even remove Russell and bring in a left-handed bat, Frank Baker, but that is just a terrible thought. He's a 190 hitter. And the pinch hitters are 0 for 2 anyway. You already have Lopes out of the game, and your -3 arm catcher's already out of the game. So no, Bill Russell will swing away with a runner at second. Here's the pitch. 6-11 off Gossage is first X. It's talking Tony Muser. He's a 2E14 at first base. 2E14. He makes the play. Runner will go to third. And your tie run is Willie Crawford. We saw the card earlier. He definitely hits righties better than lefties. This is what the Dodgers have wanted. Just a chance. A chance to tie the game. Small homer chance on the Gossage card. Big chance on Crawford's own. Runner at third, 2 outs. Maybe you get a catcher's X to pull within a run. Here's the pitch to Willie Crawford. 2-9 is a fly ball to center field. They don't score, and it stays 2-run game into the 9th. Don Sutton, a starter 9, will continue. It's his legacy here. He gave up this mess. He wants a chance of catching a comeback win. It's Bucky Dent. 47, single 1 to 2, can't get it. Glenn Beckert in the top spot now. 310 flies to left. And Brian Downing. 2-5. Grounds are short. They just want to get Gossage right back out there while he's got a nice bead going. 7-5 World Series Game 4. 3 outs away from hoisting the trophy. And you have lefty Clark Buckner at the top. This also, that strategy of the pinch hitter meant that you get 2 shots with Horace Clark and 2 shots with Pokaroba versus just single shots. So here's Gossage in his 3rd inning of relief. He's a relief 4. He is going for the World Series title right here. He's not going to be going anywhere. You have to beat Gossage, it would appear, because the potential winning runs would be Garvey, Say, and Wynn and so forth, who are right-handed. So here we are in the 9th. Horace Clark leads off. Here's the pitch. 2-3 is a grounder to second. 1 down. The watch party in Chicago. They're going absolutely bonkers in Comiskey Park as they have the game on a big TV in center field. They packed up Chicago Comiskey Park, trying to make history for the beleaguered franchise. 2 outs away. They'll have to get through Bill Buckner. Here's the pitch. 48 off Gossage is a single chance. It's a single 1 to 10, a 50-50 coin toss. He cannot get it on an 11. I gotta just make sure I'm reading my card correctly. Single 1 to 10, line up to second, 11 to 20. He cannot get the single, and there's 2 outs in the 9th. Now you got to deal with MVP of 1974, Steve Garvey. May as well show the card. Now, had a walk-off homer in Game 7 of the NLCS against the New York Mets, and a chance to make history for the Chicago White Sox, the first outlier team in carryover league history who was not a playoff team to win a World Series. And here is the pitch to Steve Garvey. 69 off of Gossage is a fly ball to right field. Shallow. Buddy Bradford makes a break on it. He's got it. It is over. The Chicago White Sox have done it. They have won the World Series. They have swept the Dodgers 4 straight. They have won 7-5. The same replay over and over. 8-6, 8-6, 7-5 in the last 3 World Series games in LA in 2 different timelines. But it's mostly this story again. It's the Chicago White Sox doing it with an incredible roster of free agents, guys they should have held on to, older players who finally get the redemption that Oakland had blocked them in the West. They get a realignment. They get an opportunity. They found a spot to make the playoffs in their own division. They completely overmatched the Kansas City Royals in their own division, who should have practically been near the playoffs. A very game Minnesota Twin team and the Brewers. Baltimore beat them in the regular season. They were no match. In the postseason, they beat the Ohio team that knocked off the Tigers, a Tiger team that beat the White Sox. And the White Sox beat the Orioles, who had beaten them 4 straight. An incredible postseason run. We're going to close this out here, and then we'll do a post-game wrap and a World Series wrap. So stick around. All right, folks, here's the box score of Game 4. The White Sox winning 7-5. Cott was starting to get hit around in the 6th inning, but finished 6 innings, 9 hits, 3 runs, a walk and 5 Ks. Got Willie Crawford out in a big moment there where the Dodgers did not pinch hit versus the lefty. And then Gossage in 3 innings gave up 2 hits, a 2-run homer to Ronce, a walk and 2 strikeouts, 3 innings save for Gossage. Sutton does get the complete game. One of the rare pitchers as a starter 9 who stays in a game where he gives up 7 runs. And unfortunately for him, it was you put a guy on, he scores in the 5th. You put a couple guys on in the 4th, they score. And you get a 2-out RBI single off the unstoppable Dick Allen. Sutton, 9 innings, 8 hits, 7 runs, 3 walks, 7 Ks. 7-5 finish. And, you know, there were a lot of moves that were made and not made. And there was the pinch hitting moment for Pokaroba. Arguably, it would have made it a 1-run game if Yeager hits a home run. But still, it's a 7-5 game. Ifs and buts and candies and nuts and all that. White Sox just had the answers. As we have said all along, The White Sox have been in many, 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 many long wars with teams, and they have suffered early in the year by making the wrong move, and eventually the other team is going to start making the wrong moves themselves, and the dice is going to start rolling the other way. And the White Sox had a strategy, and the Dodgers were kind of guessing, trying to say, what if we do this? What if we do that? What if we try this? On the fly, making these moves, and it just didn't work out. You know, you may like the strategy, you don't necessarily like the result, you can say, but that's it. It's a 4-game sweep. There'll be a World Series preview video we will put out tomorrow, but the just a kind of the quick look at the overall rotation and so forth and so on. There was no game 5 or 6 or 7 in this thing. We're done with 3 extra days. We just plug in congrats Chicago here at the end of our thing there, and beyond that, there's nothing but empty boxes over there, folks. So yeah, that's how that goes. We'll do a deeper dive in the stats video, which will come out tomorrow. It'll be a World Series wrap, and it'll also be a general stats wrap. What I can show here as well is in our postseason box. Here it is. White Sox were 31-19. They finished with a record of 35-19 with a 4-0 sweep. Dodgers finished 31-26, though an improvement over a team with a losing record a year ago. I guess in a quick snapshot of the White Sox from what happened after the All-Star break, we have to go all the way here. Okay, the White Sox beat the Twins 5-2, and that gave them a record of 20-16. For perspective, gave them a record. So prior to 5-2, they were 15-14, right? 15-14. Think about that. At the All-Star break, and here they finish. So the White Sox have just gone on a 20-5 burner. 20-5. I don't care what year or what carryover league. We have not seen a team just crush opponents away in a 20-5 run. Last year, we did see the Oakland A's. I can bring that up really quick. Their final mark was better. It was 35-13. So they were 3 games better in the loss column than this White Sox team who won it. But Oakland was steady throughout. There wasn't one particular burner that they did. Oakland, by comparison, finishing 35-13. Where were they at the All-Star break? We can go here. Oakland. They were 19-8. Let's see what they did. So Oakland went 16-5 by comparison, and to get their championship after the All-Star break. White Sox went 20-5. Just a comparable there, folks. One big more stat picture for the championship team, the White Sox, before I do a closing wrap here. So we plugged in. We'll have a World Series wrap of this is the year-to-date numbers. Wilbur Wood went to the All-Star game. He actually finished 12-7, but he had a 3.60 ERA and a 1.30 WHIP. That's just kind of average. Okay, it's fine. You know, Gossage, 16 saves, 42 innings, but his ERA is 3.40. That's okay. That was nothing splashy. How about Dick Allen? He had 2.79. Sure, he got red hot when he needed to. 14 homers, 50 RBIs. Of course, Johnny Bench, Hank Aaron did more than that. They hit 25 home runs, something like that. Just kind of show you how it was a team effort for the best team this year in the sport. Break up your world champion Chicago White Sox, defying all the odds, winning a carryover league championship. Thanks for checking this out, and we'll see you for the post-game wrap tomorrow.